Imagine, if you will, it's the early 2000s, before the advent of smartphones like this iPhone 12 mini. Chances are you would have been carrying around a cell phone that would look more or less like this one here, the Qualcomm QCP-1960 from Sprint. Let's get into this. So hey everybody, Bloodman Bobby here. You're probably wondering, why aren't you seeing my face on camera, and why is my camera pointed at my table? Well, for a couple reasons. One is that I have a really interesting story about this cell phone here. I almost called it a smartphone. But I think it really just reminds me how long I've been interested in cell phones from a surprisingly really young age. And also, it's because I wanted to make this video as a tribute to one of my favorite YouTubers. People ask me, especially on TikTok, who are my favorite YouTubers, and one of the channels that really inspired my own is Tweeterman287. So Ian, if you're watching this video, consider my video as a tribute to you. I really wanted to film one video in a style that's similar to yours as a tribute to you. I really like your casual speaking style when you make YouTube videos, and how you covered video games as well as cell phones. I've seen your videos on phones like the Palm Pre and the Sony Ericsson Xperia Play. So I really thank you for inspiring me, and if you're watching this video, I hope you like it. So before I get into this phone, I wanted to talk about how long I've been interested in cell phones. Even looking back, it really surprises me. So I've really been interested in cell phones since like the age of 4 or 5. I would go into like newspaper ads and see what were the newest cell phones on sale. I was always hesitant to go see these cell phones in person at kiosks because I've always been a really shy person, and I didn't really want to talk to the reps or the staff working there. And in fact, when I was a kid, I was so interested in phones. I remember going to the local shopping mall, and actually my mom photographed me pretending to pose as these cell phone carriers. I remember in particular one of them was Singular Wireless. I remember going there in an orange shirt, and I would have like my arms and legs like stretched out to look like the Singular logo. Just to let you know how far I'm going back, some of the earliest cell phone carriers that I could remember being around when I was a kid included Pacific Bell, AT&T, Sprint, of course, and AirTouch, which would go on to be Verizon Wireless. So I wonder if hearing those names really bring back memories, because I don't really hear about those carriers, except for a couple which are still around today, but I don't really hear people talk about AirTouch or Pacific Bell anymore. Maybe Singular, but not as much. So yeah, so it really just kind of blows me away, like, why I was into cell phones for that long. As for the why, even I'm not really sure I could answer that question. And to me, that's kind of the definition of a passion. When you like something so much, you can't really explain why you got into it. So I don't know if it's because I just like the idea of this portable device that you could talk to your friends and family with, which was kind of strange because when I was really young, I didn't have that many friends, let alone any that had their own cell phones. But the story of how I got the cell phone is, I think what happened was, I was at the local shopping mall one day with my mom, and I was checking out the cell phones at the Sprint kiosk, and the rep came up to my mom, and she told them that I was really interested in cell phones, and they gave me this Qualcomm QCP-1960. And at the time, I didn't really know if this thing worked. They didn't give me any chargers or box. I literally just got the phone itself. So I literally, for all these years, I thought it was basically a dummy phone, just there to stand in for people to check out at that shopping mall. So it's the kind of thing I always like carry around and pretend that I had an actual functional phone and things like that. So it would take me another 20 or so years to figure out if the cell phone works. So what I ended up doing is I bought the charger for this phone on eBay. I was lucky enough to find a charger for this, and I'm gonna plug this in. I'm gonna have to do a jump cut because when I turn this phone on, it shows the phone number, and I don't want you getting your eyes on that. So I'm gonna plug this in here. Okay, so here's the phone turned on here. Wow, Sprint PCS. I have not heard that name in a really long time. Isn't it interesting how nowadays I feel like Qualcomm is much more associated with their processors and phones, and Sprint would go through quite a few sort of transformations. They would go on to change their logo to a yellow logo, and now they're actually merged with T-Mobile, believe it or not. So it's kind of crazy. So you could see this phone, especially compared to the smartphones of today, are much more basic in terms of the features. I noticed that some of the buttons, probably because it's been around 20 years, don't like, some of them do work, but ones like the this envelope button, I don't know if it's like text messaging or what. I saw that there was a fax feature on this phone, but I'm not really sure if this phone could receive faxes. But yeah, you could see I tried pushing the envelope button, it doesn't really work. But most of the other ones either do or they require like multiple presses to get to work. So I'm not going to go in the address book. Something I did find out is that I think this phone was a used phone, because when I went into the address book, there were already some phone numbers in there that I didn't recognize. So I didn't really set up this phone. So this must have been a used phone that they kind of just gave me, and they weren't really sure if they were going to be able to get rid of it. So it's got some really basic features in here. I push the menu button. You could see that works. And basically, to get around the menus, you got to push the star and pound keys here to go up and down. You could see that there is no D-pad here, so I'm just like pushing the in this case, I think that's the pound key to go up and down the menus. And there are some really basic features, like you could change the volume of the alerts and set up security features on the phone. Let's see if what I could really go into. There is a mini browser here. I guess it did have some sort of internet access, but if I go in there, they're saying airtime fees apply for browser use. And by the way, I actually did try making a phone call on this. I tried calling my iPhone 12 mini, and basically I got a phone call from Sprint saying, hey, we could help you set out outbound calls. It's so funny to me. I wonder what would happen if I could go back in time and tell my 5-year-old self that someday I would have a cell phone like this iPhone 12 mini, a functional phone to not only call my own, but it'll also have features like YouTube and social media use. I think my younger me would be shocked that I'm even doing videos on a website called YouTube. So, yeah, you could see that it's trying to search for some sort of signal. I don't know. No, I did go into the volume here. You could basically adjust things like the ringer and things like that. I don't know if I want to demonstrate, because when you adjust the volume on this thing, it gets quite loud. So you could see it's taking me like multiple tries to get into the ringer, and I could set that up. So yeah, I don't know if I want to try. I think you might hear a bit of a ring, like if I move the pound and star keys up and down. Okay, that time it didn't make a ring sound, but I remember when I was playing around with it, it made some loud beeps, so I'm not gonna risk blowing out your eardrums doing that. Okay. Security. Some display, like you could turn on the backlight, I guess. Or you could adjust, like, let's see what happens. Or I guess you could adjust how long you want to. What if I leave it always on? And I don't even see a backlight working, so maybe that's no longer functional. Yeah, so once again, kind of basic features, like you could adjust the sounds of the ringtone, security. There's definitely not going to be any YouTube or Facebook in here. So, yeah. And by the way, if in case you're wondering, if I unplug the charger, unfortunately, the phone turns off. So I don't know if it's a case where maybe when they first gave me this phone, it would have worked if they gave me a charger, or the more likely reason is because this phone is teetering on 20 years old. that probably means the battery is diminished to a point where it's only going to work if it's plugged in. So yeah, I kind of just wanted to tell you the story about this phone, just to tell you how I'm surprised how long I've been interested in cell phones, even before I had any use for even a phone like this. But I'm still really glad that my dad found this phone one day. Like, after all these years, I thought I lost it at one point, and then one day, he said he found it. So I'm really, grateful that he did. And of course, my mom for asking the Sprint rep to get this phone. So yeah, just wanted to give you a basic overview of the Qualcomm QCP-1960. Like I said, I honestly even forgot that Qualcomm even made their own cell phones at one point. So that's been my basic look at the Qualcomm QCP-1960. Once again, I highly recommend checking out Tweeterman 287's channel. Ian's videos really inspired mine, so I'll have that linked in the description, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook. And once again, thank you, Ian. I hope you check this video out. So until next time, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thank you all for watching. Does this work as waving? I hope so. Hi everyone, thanks for watching this Blood Moon Bobby video. Like and share the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel to see more of my videos, and ring the bell to be notified about my latest uploads. Don't forget to follow me on social media for my latest opinions and video updates. I hope to see you next time.